All right, folks, I want to welcome you to our third and final stop here within the cave. The room you're in is called the assembly room. Right now, we're at that lowest point on our tour, 9 feet below the surface. It's a great place to talk about one of those issues that we often run into as rangers here at Wind Cave when people ask us, how deep is the cave? Because the reality is there's really two answers for them. The first is, right now, we're 209 feet below the surface, but even as we walk down this passageway here to get to the elevator, we're actually getting closer to the surface. The elevator we're going to be ascending up is exactly 195 feet below the surface. It goes back to because right where we're actually underneath a hill. So, if you go from the surface straight down, the lowest point is 527 feet below the surface. But the cave system is more like a parallelogram, where if you go from the highest point down to the lowest point, the cave depth is about 650 feet. And that's why a lot of times when people ask, how far down are we? The question is, are you asking how far are we down from where we started? Or how far are we directly beneath the surface? Now, when you folks are walking down through here, I hope you are enjoying, again, some of those modern amenities. The steps, the pathways, and most importantly, the lights. Because not only do those things help facilitate our tour today, they also make modern exploration far more accessible. The elevator shaft, again, goes down 195 feet, almost half the depth that those cavers and researchers need to get to in order to get to the lowest level within the cave. So by cutting the amount of work and time it takes them to get to that lowest level in half, it makes it easier for those researchers and cavers to get to those lowest points here within the cave. And they're doing quite a bit of work because modern explorers, the majority of whom are actually just volunteers, they're continuing to map the cave at a route of about 3 miles every single year. And there's quite a bit of cave left to explore. Because we're a barometric cave system, we can actually measure the airflow entering and leaving the cave system. So we know 157 miles, we've only explored about 5 to 10% of the total volume of Wind Cave. So quite a bit left to explore. In fact, if you folks want to do some exploration, I'm going to teach you a little caving trick right now. Go ahead and hold up your 2 hands, spread out your thumb and pinky as far apart as they'll go. Put those 2 thumbs together. You're now looking at the smallest hole that you're able to crawl through. I know, and some of you are probably thinking, no way. But the great thing about your body is that skin is incredibly flexible. The only thing that's static is the bones. More specifically, your shoulders. So, in order to help get around that, cavers, when they're going through small holes like that, some holes of which are only going to be about 7 inches in depth, they're going to have to put one arm forward, one arm back to help elongate their shoulders, pick which side their head wants to go, and then they're going to slowly drag themselves forward. And some of the places in our cave, they're going to have to do that for a couple hundred feet at a time. If that sounds attractive to you, you're at least 16 years old, talk to me afterwards and I can tell you how you can help with cave exploration. But the other thing that they're doing, though, by helping to map those new areas of the cave system, they're discovering other areas here. Specifically, at the lowest level, we discovered a series of lakes. Yeah. What's really cool about those lakes is that inside of them, we were able to document more than 100 new types of microorganisms. Those microorganisms are at the center of some really brilliant research that's occurring right at this moment. We have folks from Johns Hopkins that are actually using those microorganisms to help develop new treatments for cancer and to help to create new types of antibiotics. They're also being studied because some of those microorganisms are known as tardigrades, more commonly known as water bears. Essentially, they're extremophiles that are able to exist in environments that no other organisms are able to exist in. So why is that important? Well, we actually have a cave microbiologist here by the name of Dr. Hazel Barton. She'll be here next week, actually. And what she's doing is she works in conjunction with NASA. And those microorganisms are what they believe that if they're going to find life on foreign bodies within our solar system, they believe it's going to match or be very similar to those tardigrades because they're able to exist in places no other organism can. For example, the vacuum of space. And our cave environment at 527 feet actually matches the environments that they have found on foreign bodies in our solar system, specifically some of the moons of Jupiter. And that's why they're hopeful that if they're going to find that life, it's going to resemble some of what exists here at Wind Cave. And the folks who make all of that accessible today, it's you folks. Because the money that you spent on your tour today, by coming to a national park, by coming to this cave specifically, the money you spent goes directly into the cave itself. It pays for the preservation and maintenance of this cave system. It does not go to any other aspect of this park. It does not go to any other government entity. And that's why we're able to continue not only providing tours, but why we're able to do such incredible groundbreaking research, because someday you may be able to actually benefit from some of the research that's taking place here at Wynn Cave. I'm also especially appreciative because that money also pays for my salary. The final thing I want to thank you folks, though, is for being an incredible group, because I know today's tour was a little non-traditional, especially because you didn't know that your park ranger is deathly afraid of snakes. I did not know that snake would be back in the cave today. We'd already pulled him out a couple times and I thought he was done. But with that, I want to thank you folks for being so accommodating and for being so gracious about it. Now, we're going to go ahead and explore my favorite invention of all time, the elevator.